this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, please click that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. Anyway, now let's go make a card. Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to put together the Love and Happiness bundle, and that's in the January to June mini catalog on page 11. You can buy the bundle, which is the stamp, the embossing folder, and the dies. You can get the stamp by itself, or you can get the embossing folder and die separate. Now, there's a reason to that, and let me just go over the stamp set first. This stamp set is kind of really good. I'm thinking about keeping it, and I don't keep stamps because I just kind of move forward. But every once in a while, I do need to make sure I have a wedding sentiment, an engagement sentiment. There is a Valentine one in here. There's to my husband. There's some really good sentiments in this stamp set, and they will fit on the dies. So here's the dies here. And some of them will fit. So like you can put happy anniversary, my love. You can put this one. Here's another one. And then there are sentiments that will go on the tag here. And they really, I mean, you can almost just use this one set to make a really nice card and not use anything else. And in fact, I'm going to show you 6 cards where I'm not using anything other than my detailed trio as something as an embellishment to die. So this is actually really kind of good. Now that's just the die, and of course it does make these little flowers here too. And the card we're going to make, I'm actually using these things, and I'm not one that likes these little flowers because they're just kind of cartoony. I wasn't going to even do them, and then I made something really kind of cool to the point where it's like, it's a technique and I have to do it. So this is basically everything cut out, and here they've got another little thing. I don't know, that's decorative. So that's just the stamp and the die. Now let's do the really cool thing, and that's the embossing folder and this large die. So here's the embossing folder, and it's Banquet of Love hybrid embossing folder. And what that means is that you can just use it as a plain embossing folder like this, and it's actually really pretty. This is a gorgeous embossing folder, and I'm not one for embossing folders either, but God, this one is just really good. I might even keep this whole set. Like I said, I don't keep everything. Or I can show you how to use this with the die, and I'll make this. And of course you can make it on colored paper. There's one that I use just the heart on DS paper. You can also use it as just an embossing folder without the cut in there and ink it. I can show you that. Or you can ink it and cut it out. So, and you of course can have it go one way or the other way. This is just a really cool embossing folder and die. So let me show you how to sandwich it. So I got my plates out, and if you notice, I always keep my dies on a magnet. If you don't want to drive yourself crazy and lose your dies, just always keep them on a magnet. When you're die cutting, keep this next to your die cutter, just so you don't lose things, because I did like lose this one for like a half an hour and it drove me crazy. But here's my magnet, so I'm just going to put this off to the side. Let's look at the plates we're going to use. All right, so here's your plate. I have a Sizzix Big Shot. So you've got this layering thing. For embossing folders, you use this one. It's the last plate. Okay, now this one says it's a hybrid, but it doesn't say anything about it being 3D. So when I first was using it, I was going, okay, it's not 3D, so I don't need to have my embossing plate. Well, that was wrong. You do. You have to have an embossing plate to use this embossing folder. So if you can, go on. Stampin' Up has one in the catalog. I don't know if they're back in stock yet. I doubt it. Just go on the Sizzix one and look for a 3D embossing folder. Now the one in the catalog, the part number is 149658. You can check it out. And I'll check it out. I'll put it in the description of my video if they have it. But you have to have it. It won't work without it. So what you do is you need to grab a piece of paper. And I did this 5 1/4 by 4. If you watch my videos, it's like how many cards can I make 5.5 by 4.25 and do 5.25 by 4? I can make a zillion. Anyway, so what you're going to do first, now on the back of the pamphlet here, it does tell you if you use paper that cracks that you might want to spritz it. And the Stampin' Up Spritzers, these are fantastic because it puts out a perfect amount of water on there. So get a spritzer if you need to. And I started to at first to dampen them down, and then, you know, I was making so many that I forgot, and it worked just fine. So you don't necessarily need to use it, but if you'd like to, just, I'm going to spritz this off camera. So I spritzed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just the emboss. So I'm going to open this up. Of course, anything that has Stampin' Up right here, the ink right here, this is the top. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to line it up here in the middle, and I'm going to put it on my plate. Of course, you always put the fold in toward the machine, so you're cutting it this way. So the fold goes in, the Stampin' Up's on top, and put your 3D folder and run it through. And what you will get is something like this. So that's the one way. Now, the second way to put the actual hole in the embossing is, okay, so we're going to open this up, and where the ink is, where it says Stampin' Up, you're going to take that large heart die, and there's a gully, and you're going to put that in stitching going up. So you're going to see the stitching, and then you can place this on here. In fact, if before you put the die in, if you want to line it up with the back, that's what I was doing. I was lining it up with the back first, just kind of making sure it's where I want it. If I want it in the middle or something, then I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to put this die in face up, and then I'm going to fold this part on top, and then turn it over so this is facing up, fold and into the machine with the embossing plate. Like I said, you have to have the embossing plate. If you've got a Big Shot Plus, the big one, because I had one and I sold it, I hated it. It was just too big for my table, and at the time they didn't have embossing plates. So I don't know if they do now, but if you find that you can't find one, it's probably that. So, and this will emboss it and cut out that hole. So that's how you use this. Now you can also take ink, and if you take your ink pad, like I've got my polished pink here, and take the top again, and take the edge that doesn't have the gully here, and just pull it across your embossing folder, and then do the same thing with lining up your paper, you're going to get this. Now this is with it out cut, and this is with it cut. But when you look at the heart in the middle, and when we do some coloring here, this is actually really pretty. And it's only on one of my cards, and I put a tag across it so you can't really see this background here when you do it. But this is really pretty. You can also take two of these, put them on dimensionals, and make almost like a 3D thing going on here if you use them both. So that's cool. So that's another way to use your 3D embossing folder. Now I'm going to show you 5 cards, and then we're going to make the 6th one at the end. So here's card number 1, and it's the simplest one. And what I did is I die cut the heart just like this. And then I used I did another one like this, but I used the Sweet Talk DS paper. You can't really tell in the video, but it's the Sweet Talk DS paper. On the back it looks like Blushing Bride. And I made this one a different color, and I used the Pearl Basic Jewels for a little decor. I did Happy Wedding Day, I bumped it up on dimensionals, and then on the inside I took another piece of that DS paper from Sweet Talk, and then used my detailed trio and used these little corners and cut those out, and boom. This is why I like this die and embossing folder. It's amazing. You can make this really, really cool card really, really quick. So this is card number 1. Here's card number 2. And what I did this time is I took that embossed heart and I just colored in with Stampin' Blends. This one I used Fresh Frieza the dark, and the light Mango Melody and the light Granny Apple Green, and just colored them in. Now when you do the coloring in of these flowers, do the leaves first. They're kind of hard to, when you're first doing it, to distinguish between a flower and a leaf. So do the leaf first and then work to the flower. And then some of these I kind of left white. I just did the edge and left it white and just did the light Mango Melody in the middle. But yeah, go ahead and do the leaves first. So, and then I took the embossed folder just like this one, and then I did the cornered on the edges, so they're round. I also did it on the card base. I rounded the card base and this piece so it looks, you know, because everything's kind of round on here. And then I used the Fresh Frieza open weave ribbon, bumped the sentiment up on dimensionals, and then on the inside I used the small heart. And what I did is I took one of these folders here and I just cut it out over one of these. So, and then of course cut out the polished pink. So that's how I made this card. Now all the descriptions for all the cards are in my description of the video, so you don't have to be frantically writing these down. So that's card number 2. Card number 3, and these are just so simple, they just kind of kept coming, and I could have done a million different other little combinations of stuff, but I didn't have to. I mean, it was just pouring out. So this is polished pink paper, basic white. I went ahead and I took a embossing folder and I didn't cut out the inside heart. I just left it. And then I took another one and I just took the die and cut this part out. Just cut that out to make this top part. And of course I took the smaller die on top and I put it on there. Now the colors I used for these are light polished pink, light Daffodil Delight, and light Granny Apple Green. Bump these all up on dimensionals like that. It's really cool. And then of course I used my Detail Trio Punch and these little decorative things. And I did the same thing with the, this time I didn't layer in the heart. I just cut one of these and put it inside. So this is card number 3. Card number 4, and all of these are 5.5 by 4.25, by the way. But card number 4, I've got a polished pink base, and I took the basic white, the same dimensions. Now, when I cut this one out, I did cut out the heart. You could tell, I mean, maybe not from the video, but there's stitching around here. So when you see stitching, that means it's been cut out. And then what I did is I did that technique where I ran the ink across the embossing folder and created this really cool background. It's really neat. And then I also did it to the polished pink heart here, even though it's kind of hard to tell. And I used Mango Melody on that one to just get it a little darker. And then I took the small hearts and I cut 2 in polished pink and 1 in the basic white and just kind of lined them up and put dimensionals on them. Put dimensionals here. This is all snailed. In fact, there are 2 of these hearts here. Just kind of give it a little depth. I used my Detail Trio on the edges, and then I cut another heart out of the polished pink. So I ran a whole sheet in polished pink, or part of it, and just did the heart inside. So this is card number 4. Here's card number 5. Now, I almost did this one to make it, but I didn't. So what I did is this basic black card base, and then I took the die and I cut out 2 here of the big one and 1 in the center. And then I took some gold foil and I ran it through the embossing machine and I did the emboss here. And this little piece I took from the scraps from the gold. And then I went ahead and I used the foam adhesive sheets. And that's that solid piece of foam. And it looks like this. It's one piece of foam. But I did make another card, and actually one of the other cards, I'm going to go back on this one here. I used the foam on this one as well. It just brings it back, you know, up, and it looks better than dimensionals, believe it or not. And what's funny is that I only had this one sheet left, and it's like, oh no, I need another one. And I was able to do this one from here, but it's like, oh, I need another one. So what I did, if you don't have this, is I took a thing of dimensionals. These are dimensionals, and I did the same thing. It's kind of a waste of dimensionals. I did order some more of these, and it's in the catalog. It's 152815. And like I said, all the supplies I've used, all the dimensions, everything's in the description of my video. There's links that you click on, and God forbid, place an order. Yeah, you know, you might want to do that. Anyway, so, but you can use dimensionals. That's kind of a quick tip. In fact, I should do a quick tip video on that. So, so I went ahead and put that up on those foam adhesive sheets. And here's the tag. And I love the red rhinestone basic jewels. When they get rid of it, I'm gonna cry. I said that in the last video because I love these things. I have packs and packs of them. They're awesome. So and then inside I just layered it up, and I made a couple of more cuts out of the gold. This was left over from when I cut these big ones on the front. So and this is card number 5. Here's card number 6, and this is so funny because I really hate cartoony kind of stuff. It's kind of just not my style, and I was forcing myself to use it because it's in the die cuts here. It's like, I got to use it. So let's go ahead and make these now. Now, I did use the bumblebee trinkets. These are awesome. I have tons of these because these are just so cute. But let's go ahead and make this card. My card base is 5.5 by 4.25, surprise, surprise, in polished pink, and then I've got a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5.25. If you can hear my dog in the background, that's Buddy. Somebody is in front of my house, and he does not like that. Anyway, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to emboss this front right here. And Buddy says hello so many times over. Okay, so here is my sheet. Let me grab the embossing folder. Now I'm going to take my 4 by 5.25. Now this one we're not going to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to take the sheet here, and I'm going to line it up with the front. So just kind of line it up how you want it. Like I kind of want this one in the middle. Make sure the sides are even. Just eyeball it. You could do that. I find eyeballing is much easier than trying to measure it. And then I'm going to run this through. Now, if we were going to cut it, I would take the die and I would line it up with the back first. So I'd line it up like this, and then I would hold it down. I would take the die, stitch side up. We're going to be looking at that stitch, and I would fold it over like that, run it through, and it would look like this. But I don't want to cut this one because I want this to be high. So we're going to take this die out, and we're just going to, ooh, yes, I broke my own rule. And I'm going to line it up on the embossing folder. Make sure the Stampin' Up is facing up, and the fold is going in toward the machine. Not this way, has to go this way. Then you take your embossing folder, and I'm going to now run it through the machine. Now just take the embossed piece and put it in the middle of your card like so. Now the creative part. How did I do this? Now I don't know if you can see that all those little flowers from the die cuts are in the heart. So what I did is I took the die and a mechanical pencil, and I just traced it. So I've got that. You don't even have to have it very good. It doesn't matter if you go out of the lines or not. You're not gonna see it. Okay, so I've got it traced. Now this is the one that I did, just showing you what I used. And then I cut all 4 of these little flowers out. And I used 3 different colors. I used polished pink, blushing bride, and fresh Frieza. And now I'm going to take my silicone craft sheet, because it rocks, and just snail. I'm going to snail it. And I am going to use all the big ones on the outside. So I'm going to put one there and just kind of alternate the colors. But I want to go ahead and put the big ones on the outline. So I'm going to do the outline, and I'll be right back. Now you can see that I've lined all the big flowers over that pencil mark. So you can't see the pencil mark anymore. Now I'm going to take some snail and I'm going to put the little ones over. So I just have them all upside down here. And I'm just going to fit them where it's appropriate, where, you know, you try not to have two colors together, but, you know, just go ahead and run them till you don't see any white. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Now I've got that whole heart filled in, and I'm going to take the die and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to use my yellow painter's frog tape. I love this stuff. Frog tape is awesome. And I'm going to tape it on there, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut that. Now you might have to run it through a few times because there's a lot of layers here, but now I'm going to go cut it. So I gently pulled off this tape, and this is what I have as a result. Now I'm going to take this heart, and you can either take two plain hearts and back it up, or you can take one that's been cut out and embossed and bump it up, because this is going to give a little height to it. So I'm going to put this on top just to give it a little bit of a 3D, and then I'm going to snail this and put it in the middle like so. And then I'm going to grab the tag, and I just stamped congratulations on it. So I'm going to take this and put some dimensionals on it. Took the tapes off, and I'm just going to put this over to the side, and then I'm going to put on my bumblebee trinkets. Now, if you guys have a Paper Pumpkin subscription, they come with these little glue dots in here, and they're fantastic. They're like a glue dot without all the bulk. So I like using them on my bumblebee trinkets because they just do really, really well. They stay on there nice, and they don't look like they're, you know, on a big old fat glue dot. They're nice and thin. So I've got two right there like so. Now let's do the inside of the card. Now I'm going to take the basic white, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and use my detail trio punch. And all you have to do is line it up here and push in the middle. So you do that to all 4 corners. You know what's funny is I used the wrong color for this. This must be something other than polished pink. This is polished pink, and this is, I think, I'm not sure. Is it magenta? Anyway, it's the wrong color. So that's okay. It still looks good. And then I'm going to do that 4th color. Okay, just like so. I'm going to take some of the other flowers and just snail them up and put them on the bottom. I'm going to put the leaf on first and then the flowers. But that's the card. It's really super easy. This embossing folder and die is crazy good. And I do give away the demo card, so if you want to subscribe, because it's for a first-time subscriber, just like, subscribe, put a comment in the description there, and say, hey, I want to win the demo card, and put your email address so I can get a hold of you. And if you're the first one, oh, and I forgot, don't let me forget. I use Pearl Basic Jewels on here. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. And I just put these in the center of the little flower. Oh my goodness. I might cut this and put that in there. So here's the Pearl Basic Jewel, sorry. And I just put a few. I thought about putting a whole bunch, and it's like, oh, it just looked messy. So just, you know, like 5 or 6 or so. And that should do it. But that is the card. And like, subscribe. If you're one of the first ones and you're a first-time subscriber, put your email in the comment. Say you want to win the demo card, and I'll get your address and mail it out. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Thanks. Bye.